What happened was we started off here at Captain's Steak Jointe for dinner.
I don't know if, I think it was before we were heading to the party, or it might have been afterward.
There was a party.
Oh my gosh, it's news to me.
Yes, there was.
It was during the course of the dinner at Captain's that Malcolm, the Irish friend that we adopted at college.
So I was introduced to this group.
Jane said, I want you to meet some friends of mine, and there was this big group of people hanging out in the Union.
I think Jane was in a mass communication course with me, and so I met Jane, and all of these people that went to Greenfield High School hung out in the same part of the Union at UWM. And I think after a couple days, Jane invited me there to hang out between classes, and that's where I met Terri and Paula and Dan, and the whole bunch. And I brought my friend Jeff along.
They went out and did stuff.
Our hangout was with Jane and Sandy and I. We used to go dancing at Celebrity, and they'd be down there occasionally too.
People say, oh, the disco era, and they kind of denigrate it. It was a blast.
Sure, we got dressed up. And
I had the silky shirt with the wild patterns and the big lapels.
And Dan wouldn't be able to pull off the Bruce Wayne thing.
Malcolm had a lot of style.
Geeky Clark Kent type.
Malcolm wore cologne.
I may have been wearing my red pirate puffy shirt.
Dan didn't particularly do disco dress well. He never exactly got with the program.
So it was probably Kiana and probably Double Nuts.
Malcolm is with women, always charming with women.
It was immediately obvious that there was something going on between Dan and Paula.
They were those kinds of teenagers that just necked all the time.
Yes, at the Union. If a cute girl walked up, he could turn it on. It was like a toggle switch. He could turn on the brogue.
I could if I had to.
And women would just be like, oh, he's from Ireland.
Girls loved it. Ooh.
I think the party kind of hopped houses.
And I was not 18 yet.
I think after that we ended up at Captain's Steak Joint.
It's a mighty fine place to feed your face and put the wind back in your sails.
wonderful cheese fondue.
It would be like in a big soup vat.
Especially free hors d'oeuvres was a very important thing.
It was thick, and it had this most incredible flavor. And then they made these like salty rye chips. They were homemade, and you just get like bowls of this stuff, and you would just eat it. Back when we were thin, and I think that was the beginning of the end.
At the price, it was marvelous.
Terri, I think, worked at Captain's Steak Joint, which is why we were at Captain.
Malcolm and I both remember her costume, or her uniform, I should say. It had a very short skirt, and it looked very flattering on Terri. Terri looked very good in that uniform.
I actually did work there for a week as a hostess.
Malcolm remembers the anchors on the panties. I do not remember that.
Terri was mixing drinks.
We did have parties at my house.
We were all crowded into the living room, and I remember Terri coming out of the kitchen, or peeking out of the kitchen, and saying, "Who wants a slow screw?"
The slow screw, aside from the fact that I was embarrassed to order it.
And I didn't know what the drink was at the time.
Slow gin and orange juice.
But we went to several different houses, and I remember being at Terry's house. I remember being at someone's house with a deck or patio or porch in the backyard.
Yeah, you were telling me the kiss and Sue part. That part we heard already.
Did I mention Sue?
Yes, you mentioned Sue. We had a detective agency for a short time.
Say that the two of them just were always hatching kind of crazy schemes.
I don't know, we took 2 pieces of aluminum and we wrote detective agency on them, and we screwed them on the doors of my '64 Comet.
With the company slogan, "When death is our constant companion." Could we have been any geekier?
Yes.
Strange ideas.
Yes.
I was the moderator.
He's like the control rod in the reactor. We never did anything dumb. I never did anything dumb once I met Malcolm.
Because they're both nuts.
Hey Terri, it's Malcolm. We're cruising around your old neighborhood, and we're trying to remember which house is yours. Do you remember the address?
46.
This one right here, the gray one. Dan and I really didn't know each other very long. We had just met a couple of weeks earlier at the start of the semester.
We hit it off right away in college. We both started reading Hunter Thompson. We both got hooked on Hunter Thompson about the same time. We both got hooked on writing at about the same time.
It's funny what you remember.
We both flunked out of Introduction to PR because beer was, I think it was $2.10 a pitcher at the Gast House.
And we were just sitting around having drinks.
So we were having chocolate shakes along with our dinner.
As a college student, I was out with girls, and I was drinking alcohol.
I just remember us sitting around drinking.
During the course of the meal, Malcolm took the full straw of shake out of his shake and pulled it up and sprayed me with shake from the straw of his chocolate shake.
So we had cake at the table, and I'm not really sure what prompted me. I think Dan must have said something, and I picked up a piece of cake and smushed it in his face.
No, that didn't happen.
Yeah, it was like that.
And laughed pretty hard, and we then talked about how childish we both were, and we hoped that we would remain childish, and at that point we decided that when we turned 50 we should do something like having a pie fight.
He's a really good guy. He's got a terrific heart, and he's great fun. And we've just always been able to laugh, and that's really important these days more than ever. So I think we just hit it off from the very beginning.
It's 32 years in the making. We can't let it go by. It's hard to believe that we're both going to be 50, but we're going to be. So we decided we're going to do this at 50, and then at 75 we're going to be throwing empty Ensure cans at each other. And we have a plan for our 100th year, but we're going to wait a while before we announce that.
It was a very intoxicating evening in every respect.
Yeah, I mean, they were really fun times. Yeah, very carefree and silly, and yeah.
Hid glasses.
It was me.
You were there?
I was there.
I love cherry pie.
Key lime.
Probably banana cream pie.
My favorite kind of pie is cherry pie.
French silk pie from Baker Square.
Let's see. Just come and throw pie with us.
This was a big day.